Hello everyone, Hobbyist here. We are back at it again with another anime and manga review, and this time I'm going to be going over the Conviction Arc of Berserk. Now, the way that Berserk likes to break itself up, it broke itself up into 3 chapters, which I'm not typically used to, because with the Golden Age arc it just simply ran from beginning to end, same with the Black Swordsman. But the Conviction arc, I kind of want to break up into pieces as I talk about each individual chapter that makes up the conviction arc. For it to make better sense, the conviction arc consists of the Lost Children chapter, it consists of the Binding Chains chapter, and then it's the Birthing Ceremony chapter. And if you don't know how far to read when it comes to the conviction arc, it's going to consist of volumes 14 through 21. Or if you are reading the deluxe editions like I have, you're going to start towards the middle of book 5, and you're going to go all the way until the end of book 7 if you're reading deluxe. But let me go ahead and break this up into sections and go ahead and start with the Lost Children's arc, because in my honest opinion, it's probably, if I were to rank it, one of the best arcs inside of Conviction. But let me go into further detail. So let me go ahead and start with the Lost Children chapter as I kind of break up this review a little bit. I'm going to go chapter by chapter and what I thought about it. When it comes to the Lost Children chapter, I think it's definitely one of the stronger chapters if I'm comparing the 3. Not to say that the Conviction arc is bad, it's not. I love the Conviction arc. I love all the themes and messages, and more importantly, the world building that's been happening here. Because the thing that I like that Miura does, especially inside the Conviction arc, is that inside the Golden Age arc, we got a lot of character development and character moments inside of the Golden Age arc, especially around Guts, Griffith, and Casca. And of course, this is after the eclipse, so Guts' mind frame is very much different. Because now we understand him as a character a lot more in comparison to what we knew with the Black Swordsman arc. But when I think of the Lost Children arc, one of the biggest themes that kind of stuck out to me the most, especially through Rosina here and through Jill, was kind of just the themes of growing up in the real world, to where this whole time Jill and Rosine were simply wanting to escape, to become elves, to kind of be in their own fantasy land, to where they didn't have to worry about real life problems or the cruel world in which they were living in. And I think that that message of growing up holds even more true in the panel, to where Guts is talking about there is no shelter for you, there's nowhere to be safe. Because, at least in my interpretation of the Lost Children's arc, I think that it's really talking about the fact that, like, there is no safe space anymore. Your childhood innocence is gone. Now you have responsibilities. The real world isn't as sweet and fantastical and full of bliss as you thought it was. That's naive thinking. It's that the world sometimes is a lot more cruel than what you give it credit for. And that was one of the biggest takeaways that I took from the Lost Children arc. And it kind of gave Guts this, well, conviction to kind of realize that within himself, he needs to be by Casca's side no matter what. Of course, this happens, I think, in Binding Chains, but right now we're still focused on Lost Children. I think the fairies and everything that was happening inside of there with Guts, I think it was very much well done. Again, I fell in love with Jill and Rosina just kind of being this symbol of childhood innocence and basically just the themes of growing up and things no longer being the same as they used to be. At least that's what I like to come up with. And I think the ending kind of just beautifully tied that all up together. So overall, I think the Lost Children's arc is absolutely great. Dare I say top 2 when it comes to art, to chapters inside of the Conviction arc. Whew. The Holy Chains arc. Well, Holy Chains chapter, excuse me, because we're still in the Conviction arc. biggest theme that stuck out the most inside of Holy Chains, specifically with the Holy Chain Knights, was definitely faith and religion played a big role inside the themes of the story, and kind of just being blinded by faith to where you don't see things as they actually are. Again, kind of playing into that innocence factor in Lost Children, but it's very different. Because now with Guts, he's now more focused on doing everything he can for Casca, and still on the search for Casca at this point in the story. I'm not gonna lie, I really wasn't a fan of Farnese because it wasn't as much as a superiority complex with Farnese as it was kind of just a false sense of security that she had in herself and how she was supposed to be perfect and everything like that. And she has her own desires, her own wants, her own kinks, and ways that she likes to express herself. Hence, through her dark. I'm just not going to explain it because I don't want to be demonetized. So, as far as Farnese, I think, at least inside the Holy Chains arc, Holy Chains, and what I'm thinking of the Holy Chain Knights, is that it was definitely, especially when they were going through the latter point of when we meet Father Mazgus, to where he's initially not seen as this much of a bad guy. I mean, his design obviously allows him to stand out, but he's not necessarily seen as like a terrible person. He's just a person who strongly believes in God and in faith and the importance of faith and practice. But then we get jarring panels that severely contrast everything that we're told about Father Mazgus and everything that Father Mazgus is telling Farnese and the rest of the group with his underground torture chamber. I mean, the way that they reveal it is kind of makes it. I mean, Berserk is dark. It's a dark fantasy. What do you really expect? But it's a bit off-putting because it significantly contrasts what he initially shows on the surface when you first meet him. And then, as far as the rest of the Holy Knights and everything that happens there, I don't. Even though I just read this arc, the rest of it's just kind of falling as a blank. I think Farnese was really just the biggest focus of the Holy Chain Knights, and kind of just everything that our character stands for, and eventually introducing Serpico into the mix. The birthing ceremony, however, was the true crescendo, and I think the biggest and most important part of the Conviction arc. I think Lost Children had the best start, and the birthing ceremony had the best finish. But in comparison to the Holy Knights chapter, I don't think it was as strong. I think the Holy Knights chapter to me is the weakest of the three, if I'm comparing them each to each other. As far as the rest of Berserk, honestly, it's hard to say because I think Berserk's a masterpiece regardless. But if I were to make the comparison between the three chapters, I think Holy Chain Knights is the weakest of the three in the Conviction arc. But learning about Albion and everything that happens with them and who they are as a people, kind of further expounding upon Father Mazgus and everything, and kind of seeing the conflict inside of Farnese. The fact that Father Mazgus is a pseudo-apostle, and that he has angel wings, and that people are starting to worship him, and the whole system of deciding who a heretic is and who isn't, all really starts to come ahead inside the birthing ceremony. When we finally get to Casca inside of here, of course, her mental damage still remains, as it did at the end of the Golden Age arc, and she's still kind of as brainless as ever, but can you really blame her for everything that happened to her? I mean, we kind of even get glimpses of that inside the Conviction arc with the moments that Guts tries to spend with Casca when he gets her back. But I think the other important things that happen inside the birthing ceremony is the introduction of Isidro and just kind of his thieving personality. But he's surprisingly charming and has great chemistry with Puck. Whenever those two are together, they're basically the comedy beats of the group throughout the Conviction arc. But my goodness, towards the very end of the Conviction arc, had some of the most horrifying yet beautiful panels. Like, towards the end, the people of Albion, some of them get turned into zombies to where the point where, as messed up as this is, this kid gets brutally murdered by his parents because they're now eating his flesh and stuff. But with the way that the lighting is and that the way that it casts up in their eyes is something like it's terrifying to look at, but it's also like mesmerizing at the same time. I don't Miura really steps up his ability, and he's definitely grown tremendously when it comes to his panel artwork and just the way that his artwork has evolved. I think even Guts' design in the Conviction arc is significantly better than everything that came before. And with me now having finished the end of the Conviction arc, and I'm currently in the Millennium Empire, which you guys will be getting a video on that soon, because I'm honestly just cruising through these books right now because of just how much in love and invested I am in Guts' character and the eventual healing process that I'm sure he may or may not go through. Honestly, who's to say? But in conclusion, I think that the birthing ceremony was the best end of the Conviction arc. Lost Children was the best beginning of the Conviction arc. But I think it's a little shaky when it comes to the Holy Knights, the Holy Chain Knights, and their whole chapters, in my personal opinion. Berserk fans, do you guys agree or disagree with my points as far as what my thoughts are on the Conviction arc as a whole? Let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.